Hello, amazing ladies. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mireille Thériault. I go by Mireille Nicole in my coaching practice, and I'm a relationship coach for women who are looking for their happily ever after, whether they're already in a relationship or married, and they are looking to rekindle that flame or overcome some challenges, or if they're dating and looking for that dream man. I am so excited for today's video. We are going to talk about what to do when a man does bad behavior. What do you do when he's behaving in a way that belittles you, does not feel good, just makes it really unpleasant to be with him? What do you do, right? So men can often do this for different reasons, and we're going to talk all about it. I'm going to give you 5 things to do when men are behaving badly. But first, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so now. Hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell. Okay, let's dive in. What to do with a man's bad behavior? Well, first, let's talk about what this bad behavior might look like. So this could be, name calling during arguments or when he's not getting his way, put downs, sarcasm, playing games with you, doing things just to push your buttons, maybe gaslighting you, trying to make you jealous, and the list goes on and on. I'm sure most of us have experienced some sort of bad behavior from a man in at least one of our relationships we've had during our dating career. But let's talk about some of the things that we can do when this happens. And the first thing that you can do, which I love, is to just ignore it. There are many reasons for this bad behavior, right? It can come up from a past childhood trauma of his. He can be testing you. He can be just doing things without even realizing, actually. So ignoring the bad behavior is one option, depending on the severity, how long it's been happening, depending on the circumstances that you can do. Because at the end of the day, we do not want to reward any kind of bad behavior. And we often think that, well, if we don't say anything, that we're a doormat. But what happens is that when we say it, even though we're saying that it upsets us or we express our displeasure with it, that is still a form of reward, right? He's still getting a reaction out of you. He's still getting something from the conversation or from his action. So when we are truly in our feminine power, in our goddess state, when we know who we are and what we deserve, we don't take that kind of crap, right? We don't even respond to it. So one of the things that you can do when he's just playing games with you or trying to test you, one of the options that you have is just to say nothing and to see what his reaction is. See what comes out of it. He might just drop it. He might not do it again, or he might be like, oh, okay, right? If it's a test, maybe that's a way that you're going to pass that test, right? He wants to see what your reaction, what your worth is. The second thing you can do when there's bad behavior is to not reciprocate. Actually, no matter what it is, no matter what happens, I would always encourage you not to reciprocate, okay? Obviously, you're going to feel like, hey, if he's doing it for me, he doesn't deserve anything better. He deserves to feel that way too. He deserves me. He deserves, me to do it right back at him. We do have this tendency, or we may fall into this tendency to seek revenge, to make ourselves feel better. But at the end of the day, that's never what's going to make you feel better, right? Maybe in the moment you feel like you've got, what's that word I'm looking for? Not revenge, but you got him back. But at the end of the day, long term, that's never going to lead to a healthy relationship, no matter what. So whatever you do, do not reciprocate. You be in your power. You know your worth. You move on and do what you have to do to make yourself feel good again, but you do not do the same thing back. You can go, you can pull away and see, is this relationship really what I desire, right? Is this going anywhere? Is this a pattern that he's doing all the time? Really instead of going and doing something equivalent right back at him, use that time to really figure out, okay, Is this something that happens a lot? Is this a red flag I should really be paying attention to, right? And go from there, right? Bring it inwards in terms of what is it that you really desire? Is this lining up this kind of behavior that's being done to you? And really use that time again, just for yourself, not to go out and seek revenge. You step up, you stay on your pedestal, and you do not go down to that level of bad behavior. The third thing you can do, and you'll often want to do this, right, when a man is expressing or doing some sort of bad behavior, is going to be to express how you feel. Like, I have another video on how to communicate anything to a man, so I'm going to link it up here if you want to go check out how you can express yourself to him, right? How do you communicate this to him in a way that's productive to the relationship, feels good for you, also feels good to him, gives him the opportunity to be in his masculine energy. So obviously it's okay to express how you feel. So depending again on the circumstances, depending on how you are feeling emotionally, to what extent you're feeling emotionally strong in the moment, you might want to go straight in and express how you feel, or maybe you do it later at a time when you're less emotionally charged, right? And you can let him know how it feels. So what that's bringing up for you when he's doing those things or saying those words, you don't need to tolerate it. You never need to tolerate it. Okay. So steps number one. Number two, use them wisely, use them to get yourself to a place where you can have that conversation and just to help you manage your emotions. But yes, don't be a doormat. Bring it up at some point, but let's bring it up in a way that's constructive or productive to the relationship. And the fourth thing that you can do when a man is behaving badly is to get curious about it. So this kind of builds off step number 3. So after you've expressed your feelings, how you feel about it, one of the things you can do to really establish if this is a test or if this is just like a pattern from some sort of, past trauma or something that maybe he's not even realizing he's doing, right? Maybe some sort of just bad habit, or if this is really a red flag and you need to run away, is to then explore where that behavior came from. So I encourage you to express how you feel first and foremost. And then secondly, you can tell him, was that your intention, right? And see what he has to say to that. So, for example, I know my husband has a tendency to be sarcastic, and he can be the funniest person in the world when he's being sarcastic. But every now and then, the sarcasm gets used in a circumstance that's not so fun for me. And for a while, there was this was happening quite frequently, and it was starting to build up. At first, I was just ignoring the bad behavior, but it got to a point where it was really getting to me, and it was repeating. So I took it to the next step, which was to express how I feel about it, right? And to get curious also. So I chose a moment. So at first I was ignoring the bad behavior. I wasn't rewarding it. I wasn't reciprocating it for sure. But once I got into that place where I felt better emotionally, I took a time when it wasn't so much in the moment and I was cool and calm. Then I brought it up, right? I said, and I used part of the formula in that video. Make sure you click on it and watch it. Expressing to him what I had seen, right? I was telling him what I was noticing. I noticed you've been like sarcastic with me quite a few times recently. It's making me feel, and then here, insert any feelings that applies to you. It makes me feel hurt. It makes me feel belittled. Is that your intention? And when I said this to my husband, he had no idea. It wasn't his intention at all. He was just, trying to be funny, and he had his own pressures weighing him down. And this started a conversation between us, and it cleared the air, and it just eliminated that resentment, and the bad behavior disappeared after that. So I really encourage you, and you can use this whole idea of being curious in any circumstance in your relationship to really understand your man, diffuse those heavy emotions, and really bond closer. Just ask questions, just ask. And the fifth thing you can do when a man is behaving badly is to set boundaries. Like I always say, boundaries is a whole video in itself. So again, I won't go in too deep with the boundaries, but if you're noticing something's happening a lot, or if this is like bad behavior, there are different levels, right, of bad behavior. You can go just from like teasing, name calling, to all the way to really bad behavior. And the more things escalate, the behavior escalates, the more you'll probably be faced with setting boundaries, right? Setting boundaries and enforcing them. So this is really when you start talking about, well, if this happens, and then insert the bad behavior, and then you speak of the action you're going to take, right? The consequence. And every time I talk about boundaries, I feel it's important to remind you, ladies, that if you're going to set a boundary, you need to enforce it. You need to enforce it for it to actually work, and for the man to respect you and actually do what you need him to do, right? For things to change. The more you set boundaries, don't enforce them, the more you teach him that he can just walk all over you, that you're a doormat, that you're not, in your goddess power, that you need to be cherished and respected, right? You're letting him get away with it. So you're better off doing the other steps that I listed, starting off with that, or setting small boundaries that you can actually follow through with, for you to start changing the dynamic and start changing the behavior. So those are the 5 things that you can do when your man is behaving badly. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Of course, this is all easier said than done. So for guidance in this area, for short-term or longer-term coaching, make sure to check out the link in the description below or in my bio to apply to work with me or to contact me and see what option works best for you. Thank you so much for watching, ladies, and I will see you next time.